team like Kyrie and KD, or the Lake Show with King James and AD. Wish I could match him up with the bad boys from the 80s, but no black and white, I need that in HD. HenDawgz.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy HenDawgz, and we back to it. You know how we do it. Making the case, Magic Johnson. Shout out to Clayton Crowley. You know, he always have these making the case videos of making the case of the greatest player of all time. And for this one, I got Magic Johnson, man. I feel like it's only right that I dive into this. It's about that time, man. Winning Time is coming out March 6th. I'm gonna put my reaction video of that up top so that you can check that out, so that you know a little bit more about that. So it's only right, man. It's only right that I start reacting to more Magic Johnson videos with the show coming out. This is a great time to do it. Hopefully I attract more Laker fans, more Magic Johnson fans to the channel. Cause I'm a diehard Laker fan, as y'all can see. Diehard Kobe guy. The Lakers is, I bleed purple and gold. This is my team. So it's only right that I pay homage, that I pay my respects to Magic Johnson. So let's get into it. We're not about to talk too much. We're about to get straight into it. So making the case, Magic Johnson. Let's get it.
Basketball is special. The size of the court and the lack of pads or helmets give fans the most intimate experience of a team sport that exists. And because of the different styles that basketball allows for, players develop their own distinct identities and signature styles through their creativity, flair, and athleticism. And although no player succeeds alone, the scoring volume and two-way nature of the sport give individual stars a nearly unprecedented...
Side note on that. I just saw those Kawhi Leonard highlights, and it's something that I just heard. There's nothing to do with this video, but they said that Andrew Wiggins has more career points than Kawhi Leonard. That's crazy. That's crazy. I just had to throw it out there and tell y'all that little crazy fun fact that I just heard today.
Unprecedented amount of control over the flow and outcome of a game. For this reason, players are constantly compared to their peers and to the legends of the past in order to answer the most hotly contested question in the sport. Who's the greatest to ever do it? For many, the question is redundant. They believe in only one right answer, their answer. Others might have their own personal stance, but acknowledge one or two alternatives. But I believe that there's much more nuance to the question of greatness and more answers to it than you might think. By my count, there are 8 players in NBA history that have a substantial claim as the GOAT. It's a subjective thing though. I can't give you a definitive answer. All I can do is make the argument. So today, I'll be making the case for Magic Johnson as the greatest basketball player of all time.
Showtime! Let's get it. Let's get it. Laker gang, stand up. If you're part of the Laker gang, write something in the comments right now. I need y'all. I need y'all to start showing more love, man.
The year is 1979. Professional basketball in America is at perhaps the lowest point in its history. No one is going to games, the ratings are garbage, none of the players are very marketable, and the product is so bad that CBS isn't bothering to air playoff games live.
Crazy.
Things look bad. Enter Earvin Johnson.
Hey!
Johnson bested Larry Bird's undefeated Indiana State Sycamores in the 1979 NCAA Championship.
I just reacted to that game too, so go check that out. But that's crazy, y'all. That's crazy. Nobody was watching the NBA. They said it was playoff games that was not even on live TV. Like, they'd be showing something else, and they'd be like, hey, we'll show that playoff game tomorrow or something. Like, nobody checking for that. Like, just imagine that in today's game. Like that's crazy to think about. So, like, that's where the NBA was at before Magic, Magic and Larry Bird. Shout out to the Bird gang. I ain't exclude him. This is about Magic, but, Larry Bird did his thing too. But without this championship game kind of paving the way right here, nobody was checking for the NBA, man.
An event that retains the highest TV rating of a game of basketball ever.
Crazy.
When the Lakers used their #1 overall pick to make Johnson the first underclassman ever to be taken as the top draft choice, you have to wonder if they knew exactly who they just drafted. How could they have known that they had just drafted a player that would become an icon for their franchise, for their city, and for a generation of basketball history?
Crazy.
They didn't draft Earvin Johnson, the prospect from Michigan State. They drafted Magic. Right off the bat, for whatever it's worth, Magic Johnson has the coolest nickname in NBA history.
Facts.
It fits into a T and is really the name that everyone knows him by. It's not like his last name is superfluous, like with Kobe, LeBron, or Kareem. And it's not like his last name is eternally iconic, like Russell, Jordan, or Duncan. It's just Magic. Johnson came into the NBA and immediately injected it with life like he was an epinephrine pen. Magic's winning smile, charismatic interviews, and revolutionary play style introduced the league to a pulse and a personality it hadn't known since Wilt Chamberlain. Before long, he became the frontman of a team that would be known by its own distinct nickname. Showtime.
Hey.
Like it was a piece of theater or art in and of itself.
Side note, Winning Time was supposed to be called Showtime. That was the name that they kind of had, projecting it throughout the whole time we were filming. And I think something happened to where we couldn't use that. I don't know if we couldn't get the rights or something, but that's why we changed it to Winning Time. But the whole time I'm thinking it's Showtime. Like I'm in this show, Showtime, blah, blah, blah. But it's Winning Time now.
He was the lead man of the most popular show in Hollywood. In a city full of celebrities, he was the main attraction.
Ooh.
Not only did he have the smile and personality to carry a name like Magic, but he also had the basketball aptitude to pull off a team called Showtime. What did he do with that aptitude? He won 5 championships, a half decade's worth, and appeared in 9 finals. Only Kareem, Bill Russell, and Sam Jones have appeared in more.
That's kind of crazy too. Somebody pointed this out in the comments. I wish I could remember who it was, but I forgot. They said he made it to 9 finals in 12 years. Like that's something that we should talk about. Like there's only 3 seasons where he didn't make it to the finals in his whole entire NBA career. Like he was a proven winner. Like something I said before, like, he did all the flashy passing and all the smiling and all you just kind of seemed like he wasn't that serious all the time. But he was winning. Like look at this. Look at these achievements. Like I can see why he was smiling and laughing and having so much fun. Look how good he was. Look what he was doing.
He won 3 regular season MVPs in a span of 4 years, won 3 finals MVPs, made 12 All-Star teams, and was selected to 10 All-NBA teams.
Big time.
And keep in mind that all of these accomplishments took place in a 12-year career, 11 if you want to mention his injury-shortened 81 season. Magic only spent 3 years of his playing career watching the finals from home.
That's crazy.
I spent more years trying to graduate from college than Magic spent not making the finals. His HIV diagnosis came right on the heels of a season in which he finished as the runner-up for league MVP, was selected to first-team All-NBA, and competed in the NBA Finals. It is not hyperbole or exaggeration to say that Magic's career was cut short while he was still 90% as good as he'd ever been. Those 12 years were enough of a basketball pedigree, though, that even now, some 30 years later, he is still universally considered the greatest point guard of all time.
So, once he kind of got the HIV, I want to say probably the year before he announced it, there was no decline whatsoever. Like, there wasn't like there was decline in his game, and then people was kind of wondering, like, what was going on? Like, did he not seem focused? And then it was like, boom, like, I'm sorry, I have HIV or whatever. He was playing at the top of his game and then announced it? Is that kind of how it went? Let me know.
Fact made both impressive and unfortunate considering how much more he had to give. Still, Magic's career stacks up against anyone else with a claim to basketball's highest throne. And the legend surrounding Magic Johnson is rooted in the undeniable truth that Magic Johnson is the best passer in the history of basketball. With the ball in his hand, he was no longer a basketball player. He became a force of nature. His movements became sublime and fluid. These passes aren't coming from Magic. I refuse to believe that any human could do this kind of stuff so routinely without divine intervention. These passes are coming from the basketball gods, and Magic Johnson became their instrument.
So, another question for y'all. Was he just the flashiest passer of all time? Or was he the best passer of all time? Because those are 2 completely different things. You can be a very, very flashy passer, but that doesn't necessarily make you the best. Like, I kind of hear John Stockton and Jason Kidd and LeBron is kind of like some of the best, passers, but they say Magic Johnson is the flashiest passer. But I honestly think that he could get that title as being the best passer too. But let me know what y'all think in the comments.
To convince you, I shouldn't need to show you anything other than his ability, but the stats bear it out. Magic has the highest assists per game average ever, and also has the most assists in NBA playoff history.
That answers my question a little bit.
Magic's skills extended beyond just passing, though. Too big to be guarded by traditional point guards and too quick to be guarded by slow-footed forwards, he created matchup problems every time he brought the ball across midcourt. His speed with the ball was unrivaled, and accompanied with his remarkable rebounding proficiency, was a key feature in the Lakers' fast break offense. He was adept at finishing with either hand, something he did often thanks to his underrated first step. Years of practice by himself and with Kareem helped Magic develop a high post game that added yet another dimension to his offensive skill set. Magic was also adept at picking his opponent's pockets, leading the league in steals per game twice.
Defender too.
This skill set is made even more impressive when you remember that Magic was the same height as Karl Malone.
Yeah, that's
that
crazy.
might be my favorite thing about Magic. That he was a true, authentic point guard who happens to be 6'9".
Another question for y'all. On a scale of 1 to 10, how great of a scorer was Magic? Because I think that's something we kind of got to talk about if we're going to put him in the GOAT conversation. You know, I've been doing a lot of research in my history. I definitely haven't seen many players that's better than him. Probably I haven't seen maybe one or two. But I want to kind of talk about how great of a scorer he was. Like when the Lakers needed a bucket, was he able to deliver? Like I remember that rookie season, you know, when Kareem went down, you know, he got the buckets for him. But was that something that he was able to do over the course of his career? Or was he kind of, you know, this amazing, you know, great passer and then kind of like an above average scorer? That's kind of what I want to know. Or was he a great scorer, but was just his passing just kind of just overshadowed everything else? Let me know in the comments.
It wasn't like with Tim Duncan, who played power forward but people say was actually a center, or how James Harden is listed at shooting guard even though he plays more like a point guard. Magic was an honest-to-God point guard who could also play every position on the basketball court.
Okay.
As an individual defender, Magic was capable, never a lockdown guy. But he was as versatile and as switchable as they come. And with such solid rebounding numbers, there were no holes in Magic Johnson's offensive game. When I say that Magic immediately began making an impact on the NBA, I do mean immediately. His rookie year is still one of the most successful campaigns a first-year player has ever had. He took over the job as starting point guard and helped guide the Lakers to 60 wins and a berth in the NBA Finals, where the Lakers...
I didn't mean to cut that off in the middle of a sentence, but I had to tell y'all another player that I'm playing in winning time, because I'll be playing 12 different people, was the person whose shot he just blocked. World Be Free. That's what I'll be playing. So somebody write in the comments a little bit about World Be Free's career so I can know a little bit more about the player that I played in winning time.
Lakers faced Julius Earving's Philadelphia 76ers. The series was competitive throughout, with each contest being decided by 10 points or fewer through the first 5 games. In Game 5, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the reigning league MVP and the Lakers' best player, badly sprained his ankle. Kareem was able to return and will his team to a 5-point victory, putting the Lakers ahead in the series 3-2. With only one more win needed to clinch the title, Kareem was ruled unavailable for Game 6 in Philadelphia. Magic was then called upon to start the game at center and try to replace Kareem's 33-point-per-game average in the series. Magic answered that call and delivered one of the most memorable basketball performances by any player ever.
Too good.
42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block.
That's crazy. But something else I didn't really know is when Kareem went down with the ankle injury, I thought he was like, as soon as the ankle injury happened, he was done. But they said he finished that game, still willed, the Lakers to a win. And then after that game, it was like, okay, yeah, now it's over with. It's then probably then swelled up. Like, it's a wrap. And that's when Magic kind of, did this, the 42, 15, and 7. So Kareem tried. He tried, but Magic took over for him.
All as a 20-year-old rookie playing on the road on basketball's highest stage. For his efforts, Magic was named Finals MVP, the first and only rookie to win the award.
Crazy. A rookie
in the
Finals
years that
MVP?
followed, Magic's basketball journey would be inextricably linked to that of Larry Bird. It's nearly impossible to talk about one without mentioning the other. In my Making the Case video for Larry Bird, I brought up arguments that could be used in favor of Bird's superiority. And because this is a video about Magic's claim of supremacy, I figure I ought to do the same for him.
Got to.
You first have to give credit to Magic for being the most decorated player during perhaps the most talent-laden period the NBA has ever seen. Including his finals opponents, Magic faced competition like Olajuwon and Sampson's Rockets, Tom Chambers' Suns, Mark Aguirre's Mavs, Isaiah Thomas's Pistons, Moses Malone and Dr. J's 76ers, Michael Jordan's Bulls, and Bird's Celtics. Magic's detractors might try to devalue his team's success by pointing out that he played for a remarkably talented team thanks to a brilliant front office. Because of his team's talents, these detractors say, Magic can't be individually credited for their success. In the interest of making Magic's case, though, I'd first acknowledge that yes, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the best basketball player in the world for nearly the entire 1970s and had already led a team in Milwaukee to a championship by the time Magic arrived in LA.
Is that a fact? Is that a fact that Kareem was the best player in the NBA from 1970 to 1979? Write in the comments about that, because I didn't know that. I didn't know when Kareem's peak was. Because 1980 was when Magic got drafted, so was this kind of when, Kareem kind of handed over the keys to Magic as a rookie? Or was Kareem still the best player kind of like going into the 80s too? Let me know in the comments.
Yes, James Worthy was one of the most polished and accomplished prospects to come out of college basketball in some time. And that's not to mention other pivotal role players like Michael Cooper, Kurt Rambis, and Byron Scott, who all played outstanding basketball. I acknowledge all of that, but I'd argue that the greatness of the Showtime Lakers does not take anything away from Magic's abilities as a player or as a leader. If anything, it reinforces the fact that Magic is one of the most effective leaders basketball has ever seen. By the start of the 84-85 season, he had organically flourished into the alpha dog of the team and respectfully taken the torch from Kareem without a power struggle.
Okay, so they kind of just answered that question for y'all. 1984 was kind of when Kareem, handed over the keys. But my next question for y'all is, who, besides Kareem, who would y'all say was Magic's best teammate? Because as y'all know, I've been doing a lot of Boston videos. Shout out to the Bird Gang. If you're part of the Bird Gang, write something in the comments. But a lot of people were saying that Dennis Johnson was Larry Bird's, best teammate. And they said Larry Bird actually said that, which was surprising to me because I didn't know that. So who was Magic's, best teammate outside of Kareem? Write that in the comments. Was it Worthy? Was it Cooper? Was it who else was on that team? It could have been anybody. Just let me know in the comments who his best teammate was. Somebody that he might have said, or just somebody that y'all think was very underrated that don't get talked about a lot. Let me know in the comments.
It's one of the only times in NBA history that there was a peaceful transition of power from one player to the next.
So it was peaceful.
Pro basketball is like 15th century England in that sense. There are no peaceful transitions of power. The fact that Magic was able to earn the respect and commitment of his teammates, especially one of the most historically dominant players ever in Kareem, is a testament to Magic's greatness. Beside the departure of Norm Nixon, the Lakers' previous point guard, there were no ugly breakups.
When did Norm leave? When did Norm Nixon leave the Lakers? Because the time period of winning time, he was the guard with Magic. So I didn't get a chance to see when he left, and kind of want to know when did he leave and go play for, I think he went to the Clippers, right? What year did Norm Nixon go and play for the Clippers? Let me know.
Rambis, Scott, Worthy, and Kareem all retired at one point or another as Lakers. If you won't believe me, listen to the words of Bill Simmons, former ESPN columnist, current CEO of The Ringer, and noted Boston sports supporter who grew up rooting against Magic. Simmons says he's the single best leader in the history of the sport. Nobody extracted more from teammates, whether it was an all-star game, a mundane affair in December, or any playoff game.
That's deep.
It's also important to note that Magic was ready to win right from the get-go. Like I said earlier, he won Finals MVP as a rookie and finished as the runner-up for regular season MVP in his final full year.
Actually, I kind of want to go back to what Bill Simmons said a little bit, and I would appreciate if somebody kind of explained that to me a little bit more. He said that no player has extracted more from their teammates. What does he mean by extracted? What do y'all think Bill Simmons meant by that?
Unlike nearly every other player who's ever laced him up, there was never a year where Magic's productivity dropped below his eye-popping, jaw-dropping standards. 12 years of Magic Johnson means 12 years of top-shelf, undeniable, incomparable greatness. Magic's critics might say that he didn't score enough, that his defense was too suspect to be considered the greatest, or that his play wouldn't translate into the league today. To all of that, I'd argue that one of the best things about basketball is how many different ways there are to win. You can be a 6'3" sharpshooter like Steph Curry and revolutionize the game, a 7'1" behemoth like Shaq who dominates the league, or anything in between.
That's facts.
There are so many viable ways to play the game that have all resulted in championships, MVPs, and the like. Magic's play style allowed him to control the game with a vice grip and tailor it to his specific brand of basketball. What's a player supposed to do when it comes to how the game might evolve in the future? When people talk about the way Magic played, they sometimes talk about it almost like it's a kind of historical casualty. That bewilders me. What Magic did worked really well. Why should he have done anything different? Magic changed the NBA for the better. He was the first positionless player, someone who broke the mold and opened the basketball-watching public's eyes to the possibilities of letting great players do what they're great at, rather than just fulfilling the traditional roles of their size or position. As the game evolves more and more into a positionless sport, Magic's influence and value only become more and more apparent. His Showtime Lakers also became one of the first teams to make the game of basketball aesthetic. The speed, athleticism, and skill we all enjoy today is due in part to Showtime and Magic Johnson. In my video about Larry Bird, I gave him a lot of credit for saving the NBA, and deservedly so. Larry was a pioneer of basketball and contributed immensely to the explosion of the game's popularity. But for every breath of fresh air that Larry contributed, Magic did the same. You can't talk about one without the other because it was the rivalry between the two that really saved the league. The fact that they competed against each other in such a high-profile game in college, had nearly polar opposite personalities, were of different races, played for the two most historic teams in the country, and met each other multiple times in the finals, all cements theirs as the defining rivalry of the NBA. Despite the differences in their personalities, though, their games were remarkably similar. Team-first, success-oriented mindsets and proclivities for passing were trademark features of both their styles. Those styles met 3 times in the finals, each in legendary fashion. Magic would have the last laugh, though, with 2 championship series wins against Bird. By the time the 1987 finals, their last series against each other, rolled around, Magic had developed a killer instinct and flair for the dramatic matched only by his rival. In Game 4 of the series, with the Lakers leading 2-1, Magic all but iced the series with the most legendary shot of his career. Down 1 with seconds left in a raucous Boston Garden, Magic ripped the heart out of every Celtics fan with his baby sky hook.
And the Celtics trail by 1 with 2 seconds to go.
It was the moment of the '87 finals and the shot of Magic's career. He capped off the most remarkable season of his career by vanquishing his most intense rival for the second time in 3 years. Bill Simmons described how momentous the shot and ensuing championship win was for Magic's legacy. Not even the biggest Celtics fan on the planet could deny it any longer. Magic Johnson was just as exceptional as Larry Bird.
He said he was just as exceptional. So my question to y'all is, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of, biased Magic fans, and that's okay. But I want y'all to tell me, who is better, Magic Johnson or Larry Bird? Who is the better player? Or not even that, that's because it's kind of tough to ask that question, but who would you rather have on your team, Magic Johnson or Larry Bird? Write in the comments and tell me why. Don't just tell me, yeah, I'd rather have Magic Johnson. Yeah, I'd rather have Larry Bird. Let me know in the comments why you would rather have that player. I'm actually curious and I want to see it.
This point is echoed by Bird himself in a clip I'll leave you with. After the game, Bird remarked how impressed he was with Magic's performance and ability as a basketball player. It's only an 11-second clip, but there's a moment in it that just strikes me. There's a split second where you can see the disbelief in Larry's eyes as he tries to come to terms with the fact that the game, and likely the series, is over. In that second, you can almost see him ponder all of the work he put in during the season, all the games he played and the shots he took, all in the hopes of getting a chance to beat his old rival. And then he has to reconcile the fact that that old rival got the better of him, plain and simple.
Let me see it.
Berg wasn't alone in having to reconcile being beaten by Magic Johnson. Magic still maintains the highest win percentage for a career in NBA history.
That's crazy.
It's the same thing countless players and coaches had to come to terms with during Earvin Magic Johnson's 12 magical years with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Only 12 years. Like, 12 years is not a lot. Like, I feel like, you know, it's kind of hard to, when you look at numbers and, you know, you look at LeBron possibly being, you know, the all-time leading scorer of all time, and, you know, just all these different numbers when you watch him, like, you got to kind of put him into perspective. Like, he only played 12 seasons. That's not a lot of seasons. You know, LeBron is on year 19, 18. Kareem played like 20 years. Kobe played like 20 years. Like, you got to kind of think about that. Larry Bird played, what, 12 years? That means a lot. That means a lot. You got to kind of think about that type of stuff.
Here's Berg, summing it all up with a look.
He's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
He didn't know what to say. Subscribe.
Hey there, friend. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, maybe go ahead and subscribe because I will be making the case for other players in the future.
Dope ass video, man. I'm so happy we got to that. I've been, you know, waiting as long as I can, but you know, the show is on its way. The show is coming out March 6th, winning time. I'll be a part of that, so I'm very excited, and it's time to start rolling out more Lakers stuff. So I hope y'all enjoyed that video, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if y'all want to see more stuff like this. Make sure y'all like this video if y'all like this video, and write something in the comments. Write more Magic Johnson videos that I should react to. But again, man, I appreciate all of y'all. We out.